Hello everybody, so it is Saturday evening, it is the 26th of October and I'm still knitting. My scarf is not finished yet, but it is coming along really nicely. So I thought I would do some knitting and talk to you a little bit about how I'm feeling and give you guys a bit of an update. So there's not really that much to update on, to be totally honest. My opinion about the course is still pretty similar. I still definitely prefer Russian over Korean, and I think the Russian approach is better than the Korean approach just because as a scientist I do like structure, I like organization, and even as like in general I just always prefer structure and organization. I like to understand why things are the way they are. I've just always been like that. I think that is probably why I fell into science in the first place. So yeah, I do prefer the Russian aspect of the course over the Korean one, and I feel like that is primarily just because it is more structured, and I do like that. I think, well, I've been doing a lot of thinking about it in the last couple of days and weeks, and now that I am feeling much better, I'm no longer ill, which is fantastic because I was feeling very rough. I think I have a clearer mind, and I'm thinking just more like myself rather than like an ill person because I was not very well. And because I wasn't very well, I wasn't feeling good, and that was not only you just can't see me knitting anything. And I was not feeling very well, and that wasn't only like physically but like emotionally, mentally. I just wasn't feeling the best just because I was so ill. So yeah, I am feeling much better now. I am more clear-minded and I'm thinking about things more rationally than I perhaps was. And I've come to the realization that I think I may not enjoy the course very much because I'm not very good at it, to be totally honest, because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to struggling as much as I'm struggling with the course ever. Even in my first degree, it really wasn't that hard. And the only time that I've struggled with something like this before is like A-level maths and physics, but even then I enjoyed the physics. Didn't enjoy the maths so much, but the physics itself was interesting. I just wasn't very good at it. But yeah, so I think a massive element of why I'm not enjoying it so much is because I am finding it really hard. And particularly for Korean, because the groups are pretty big, they've got a range of abilities in it. So there are some brand new beginners like me, and there are also some people that have been learning it for a number of years. And of course, if you're comparing your 3-week progress to somebody else's 5-year progress, you're not going to feel very good about yourself because that is a big difference. That is just a very silly comparison to make because you're comparing somebody else's middle of their race to the beginning of yours, and that isn't a very good thing to do. And I need to stop doing it because I think that in itself, as a standalone thing, is making me feel bad because I just feel inadequate and it's not very pleasant. One thing that I think that could have been done a lot better was to separate the groups a lot more evenly. So rather than having a mix of abilities thrown together, so you've got people that have been doing it for 5 years and then you've got brand new people, what would have been potentially easier, in my opinion, would have been to have all of the new beginners together, all of the people that have been doing it for a number of years together. Then the people who have been doing it for longer won't be as bored. They can progress a lot faster for their ability, and the ones of us that are brand new, we can have things gone over a couple of times. We can ask more questions and not feel embarrassed, because it is embarrassing to say, oh, I don't understand this very fundamental element that everybody else learnt about when they were 16 years old. So as much as it shouldn't be embarrassing to ask questions, it is, and there's no getting around that. It is. So I do think maybe having the abilities a bit more strategically organized may be useful in future years. Whether they'll do that or not is up to them. But yeah, so I think I also need to remember, in terms of me not liking the course very much, is that we are only a couple of weeks in. So Of course, it's going to be hard. Russian is hard. Korean is hard, especially for an English speaker who doesn't speak anything else. Previously, I've only ever done Spanish at school. I did French at school too, but and then like Danish on my own. And I really enjoy Danish, to be honest. It is self-taught completely, so my Danish is very poor, but I enjoy it. I just find it fun. I like the language. I like the words. I like how they sound. I like how they look, and their history is fascinating. So I'm just hoping that my current dislike for the course is just because it is so new and I'm not used to it yet. It's been a shock to the system. I've not been very well. I've not been eating properly. And I'm hoping that now that I'm better, now that my diet has improved, I'm actually eating rather than skipping meals because I'm stressed out, that I start to just feel better, you know? And as I get to grips with some of the more fundamental elements and therefore can pick up words a bit more easily, that I won't feel as like bogged down and feel so behind and just feel inadequate, because feeling inadequate is not very nice, let's be real. Nobody likes to feel like that. And feeling like that when you're spending a lot of money to be where you are, it is not very nice. It's kind of like paying to be miserable, which is not fun for anybody. And I'm just hoping that this is like a phase and it's just kind of the shock of going back to university from being an employee and being completely self-sufficient. And I mean, I was really good at my job. I understood all of the things that I had to do. I was very comfortable fixing the equipment I had to fix and dealing with the problems that came up and managing issues and talking to my colleagues and fixing whatever they came to me with. That wasn't a problem. So going from that, being completely confident in my abilities, completely confident in solving any problems that arose, even in emergency situations where like we had to, powers went out and generators had to be filled up, to then going back to university where I don't know anything, I don't know anyone, and I just feel like I'm in a pool where I can't touch the bottom and I can't float either, and I'm constantly pushing up from the bottom of the pool to get some air only to sink back down. That's what it feels like. It's not very pleasant, and I do hope that that feeling starts to go away and I start to feel more kind of stable in my position. I never expect to be completely fluent in even at the end of the 4 years, but I kind of hope that in the next couple of weeks that I don't feel like an imposter in the lectures where I don't know what anybody is talking about, I don't understand what is going on, and I feel like a complete fool and that I've made a mistake. So I know all of this sounds incredibly negative, and let's be real, it is quite negative, but the positive of it all is that I am feeling better in myself. This reading week has been really quite useful to kind of get to grips with the very fundamentals of Korean, which makes things make more sense to me, and I like that. So my grasp on the vocabulary that we've been learning so far is not the best, so I understand a couple of words and stuff like that, but to me grammar is more important than vocab. It's like in English, if you give a non-English speaker 10,000 English words but you don't teach them how to put the words in a sentence, they're not going to be able to speak English. It doesn't matter how many words they know, they need to know how to use the words. So that is what is important, and you need to have the very basics of that before you even begin to teach them words, because if you only know words and not where to put them, what are you going to do with them? So the reading week has been really useful for that, which is good. And so another positive spin is that because I'm feeling better, I'm thinking more clearly, and I just feel more like myself, and I'm able to think rationally. And it is because I can think rationally that I can think, you've only been learning these languages for 3 weeks. Other people have been doing it for 5 years, 10 years, 2 years. And comparing yourself to them is not very sensible. This is your journey, not theirs, and you only need to focus on yourself. So I just need to kind of get into that mindset and realize that what they're doing doesn't matter. Keep my focus on myself. And it sounds quite selfish, but it's not. And so keep my focus on myself, mind my own business, do what I'm doing, and worry about me. because I am not them, they are not me. I'm not paying their fees, I am paying my own. So yeah, I'm hoping by Christmas that I will feel far more secure in my decision to come back to university and to come to do this course in particular. But I've also, and I've discussed this with my parents, so they are also aware, but if I am not liking it by Christmas and I still feel completely behind, I feel like I'm not learning anything that I need to, I'm not learning the things that I need to, say, in Korean in particular, then I will just leave the university. And it will be a shame because I am enjoying the Russian so much and I would really like to learn the languages for, well, firstly, career aspirations, but secondly, just because I think they're nice languages, particularly the Russian. I'm really enjoying that and I would like to learn more about their folklore and their country in general in the Soviet Union in Russian, because obviously they're going to have a different perspective than we do. And I think comparing the historical reports from, say, the war in English compared to in Russian from different countries that speak Russian, then that would be incredibly fascinating and give a lot of a much deeper understanding of what actually happened during that time. And I'm really looking forward to that. So it would be a shame to drop out, but it would also be a much bigger shame to spend 60,000-70,000 pounds on something where I come out of it at the end, I've not enjoyed it, and I've not learned what I wanted to learn, and therefore I can't read books, I can't read articles, can't speak to people properly, and I sound like a toddler when I'm talking. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, and there are other ways of learning Russian if I do decide to leave this course, because if I did and I wanted to continue with language, I would choose Russian. I would just not bother with the Korean, to be totally honest, which is a big shame because I do like it. So it seems a bit of a messy kind of video because I feel like I've talked in circles and repeated myself a lot. But in summary, I'm still feeling a bit rough about the course. I feel like I'm behind just because other people have been learning it for so much longer than I have. The Russian is better for me, just in my kind of structured, organised mind and how it's been approached. But the lecturers are very nice in Korean and Russian, which is good. So I'll probably speak to the Korean lecturers about my concerns, and hopefully they can put my mind at ease. And despite all of these concerns and worries, I am a lot more clear-headed now, and there are solutions to problems, whether they are good solutions that lead me to stay and do well in this course, or ones that leave me leaving the university and going back to work. Either way, it doesn't matter because they are a solution to the problem, and the problem is I'm not enjoying myself. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day if I stay or don't. I would like to stay and I would like to learn the languages, of course, otherwise I wouldn't have started in the first place. But it's not the end of the world if things don't turn out the way I had hoped. So yeah, hopefully they do improve and I feel better, but we'll see. And yeah, I'll give it a couple of weeks and we'll see how it goes. But until then, I hope you guys have enjoyed your weekend and that you've got a really nice week ahead for you. And I will see you in the next one. So bye guys.